For 5 centuries, the Vatican has guarded a secret so vast that even history itself was forced into silence. In the silent depths of a medieval monastery, where candlelight flickered against cold stone walls, a story unfolded that would never appear in the polished chronicles of the Church. Some accounts whisper of manuscripts chained shut, chambers bricked over, and truths so dangerous they threatened to tear faith itself apart. Among the shadows sat Brother Matthias, just 24 years old, his trembling hand guiding a quill across fragile parchment. Each word he copied was forbidden, each line a risk to his soul and his life. Outside, bells tolled for prayer, but within these hidden rooms, another ritual was taking place. The quiet preservation of knowledge the Church demanded be forgotten. According to rumour, men like Matthias left behind fragments of these silenced truths, preserved only in whispers and memory. Whether fact or legend, the story of these locked-away secrets continues to haunt historians. If you enjoy uncovering hidden truths that history tried to bury, consider pressing that like button and let me know in the comments which city you're watching from. Deep within Rome, behind marble corridors and iron-locked doors, lies a collection that has stirred more speculation than any treasure hoard of kings. In 1611, Pope Paul V formally established what became known as the Archivum Secretum Apostolicum Vaticanum, the Vatican Secret Archives. Officially, it was meant to safeguard the Church's most important documents, papal bulls, royal decrees, letters between monarchs and popes. But storytellers claim the word secretum meant more than simply private. It meant knowledge that should never see the light of day. Some accounts whisper of chambers stacked with trial records from the Inquisition, confessions sealed with blood, and correspondences so scandalous that their very existence could shake the foundations of kingdoms. Shelves upon shelves stretching for miles, said to hold the memory of empires long turned to dust. And yet, darker whispers suggest the archives predate even 1611, that in the centuries before, scribes and priests had already been sealing manuscripts, bricking over chambers, and locking away the dangerous truths that threatened the authority of Rome. Preserved in silence, these fragments of the past wait untouched, in the cool shadows of the Vatican's stone vaults. Behind those locked doors, the whispers grow darker still. Among the endless shelves, storytellers claim, lie letters exchanged between popes and kings, correspondences never meant for public eyes, words of alliance and betrayal, of secret promises inked in candlelight, their existence known only to the chosen few who guarded them. Even more chilling are the trial transcripts said to rest in silence. Records from the Inquisition, parchments stained with accounts of torture, forced confessions, and heresies dragged into the light. Voices of men and women who vanished into the flames, their last words buried under the seal of papal authority. And then there are the whispers of something still more deliberate, papal orders commanding that certain histories be erased altogether. Whole chapters of the past, rewritten or locked away, their fragments hidden where no scholar could reach. According to rumour, these were not just records, but the Church's own hand erasing memory, deciding what the world would remember and what would be condemned to silence. Among the most infamous cases said to lie buried in the archives is that of Galileo Galilei. In 1633, the aging astronomer was summoned before the Holy Office of the Inquisition, accused of heresy for daring to claim that the Earth moved around the sun. What the world remembers is the image of Galileo forced to kneel, trembling as he recanted under threat of torture and death. But whispers suggest the official record we are shown is only part of the truth. According to rumour, the original transcripts, sealed away in the archives, contained testimonies far harsher than the Church admitted publicly. Some claim that Galileo's interrogators pressed him for names of others who shared his forbidden ideas, that hidden exchanges hinted at networks of thinkers who risked everything in pursuit of the stars. And yet, the sentence preserved for the outside world was carefully softened: house arrest until his death, and a single line of forced submission. Whether fact or legend, storytellers claim the true record of Galileo's trial still rests somewhere in the Vatican vaults, locked away where curious eyes cannot follow. Long before Galileo ever faced the Inquisition, the Church had already been sealing away other dangerous writings, texts not of science, but of faith itself. Accounts claim that among the most closely guarded treasures are the Apocryphal Gospels, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and other writings that offered visions of Christianity too different, too threatening to the growing authority of Rome. These Gospels spoke in voices that challenged official doctrine, of a Jesus who entrusted secret teachings to Mary, of a faith built on inner revelation rather than rigid hierarchy. Such words, if widely known, might have fractured the delicate unity of the early church. And so, storytellers claim they were declared heretical, collected, and hidden away. Whispers tell of monks who, unable to destroy what they believed sacred, secretly copied fragments before locking the originals behind iron doors. Some of these fragments survived, surfacing centuries later in desert caves and Egyptian sands. Yet many believe the Vatican's sealed vaults still hold far more, entire gospels we may never see, their ink fading quietly in the shadows, while the world is left with silence. Not all that was hidden concerned faith alone. Some of the most tantalizing whispers speak of manuscripts filled with knowledge the Church deemed too dangerous for the public eye. Scrolls of astronomy that charted the heavens in ways that defied Scripture, treatises of medicine that mingled healing with forbidden alchemy, and diagrams of the human body said to challenge the belief that illness came only from sin. There are even claims of letters that described lands across the ocean, centuries before Columbus set sail. According to rumor, seafarers and merchants had already whispered of islands and continents far beyond Europe's maps. But such knowledge, if true, would have threatened the Church's authority over exploration and divine order. And so, the letters were sealed, their words vanishing into the silence of the archives. Storytellers claim that entire fields of discovery were delayed, their progress chained in the darkness of these vaults. Ideas that might have changed medicine, science, or geography were left to gather dust, while the world outside remained bound to ignorance sanctioned as faith. Yet perhaps the greatest cost of these secrets was not borne by kings or popes, but by the men condemned to guard them. Imagine the archivists, silent figures who walked each day through endless corridors of chained manuscripts, forbidden to speak of what they read. For them, knowledge was not freedom, but a burden heavy enough to crush the spirit. One such figure was Antonio Bosio, a 17th century scholar remembered as the Columbus of the Catacombs. By order of the Church, he catalogued the hidden burial chambers beneath Rome, unearthing inscriptions and relics untouched for centuries. He wrote of wonders in cautious language, yet according to rumor, he confessed in private that he had seen more than man should. Storytellers claim the weight of what he uncovered, truths he could never reveal, haunted him until his death. Whispers go further still, suggesting that others charged with maintaining the archives slipped into madness, their lives consumed by the contradiction of knowing what the world was never allowed to see. In the silence of those stone chambers, surrounded by history's most forbidden voices, even the guardians themselves became prisoners. If trial records and forbidden gospels whisper of ideas too dangerous to release, the darker rumors speak of sins too shameful to confess. Hidden deep in the archives, some claim, are sealed transcripts that detail abuses within monasteries, testimonies of children silenced, their cries recorded only on parchment that was then locked away. The world was offered stories of holiness and sacrifice, while the suffering of the most vulnerable vanished into official silence, and the shadows do not end there. Accounts suggest entire volumes conceal scandals of the papacy itself, letters of mistresses, bribes exchanged for power, even plots of poison and assassination. These were not the sins of common men, but of those who wore crowns of gold and robes of scarlet, their failings buried with the same care as relics of saints. Whether truth or invention, the persistence of such rumors tells its own story, that the Church's greatest secret may not be what is preserved in the vaults, but what those locked doors represent, a history where power was guarded more fiercely than truth, and silence was wielded as the ultimate weapon. Centuries have passed since the first chambers were sealed, and still the vaults remain shrouded in silence. Today, the Vatican archives stretch for more than 53 miles of shelves, a labyrinth of manuscripts and records hidden beneath the palaces of Rome, row upon row of volumes, bound in leather and dust, preserved in the cool stillness of stone walls. Yet entry is not for the curious. Only approved scholars may pass through its guarded doors, and even then, only to view a narrow selection of material. Each request must be justified, each page carefully chosen, as if the archive itself were rationing out fragments of history, one measured drop at a time. And still, some collections remain closed, declared too sensitive, too dangerous, or simply marked for security reasons. What lies in those forbidden shelves, few can say. Perhaps only the archivists know, and they are bound by vows as ancient as the documents they protect. To the world outside, the doors remain locked, and the silence stretches on. From time to time, the doors of the archive open just enough to let a single sliver of light escape. and what that light reveals is enough to chill the soul. In the 19th and 20th centuries, select documents were slowly released, their contents more unsettling than even rumor had suggested. Among them were records from the Second World War, pages that revealed how Pope Pius XIV remained silent as the shadows of the Holocaust spread across Europe. Some say his silence was diplomacy, others call it complicity, but the archive itself kept those truths sealed for decades, as if time might dull their sting. Then came revelations of financial corruption. Vatican bank documents uncovered scandals of laundering, embezzlement, and secret dealings with governments and criminal networks. Each revelation shook the faithful, not because of what was discovered, but because of the inevitable question it raised. If this is what the Church allows us to see, what still lies hidden in the shelves that remain locked? Every release becomes less an answer and more a reminder that the archive is not just a place of history, but a vault of silence, where truths emerge only when they can no longer be denied. For all the talk of locked doors and hidden shelves, the truest weight of the archives is not measured in miles of parchment, but in lives. Every sealed record represents a voice cut short, a heretic burned, a thinker silenced, a believer who dared to ask the wrong question. Their cries were recorded, then buried, their suffering excluded from the official histories that shaped the world outside. Behind each bricked-over chamber is not merely a manuscript, but a person, a woman who stood accused of sorcery when she was only a healer, a scholar who saw the stars move in ways the Church forbade, a child who vanished into the walls of a monastery, his story preserved only in ink that no one is allowed to read. These are not just documents, but echoes of human lives, souls erased from memory, surviving only in whispers passed down through generations. And in that silence lies the deepest tragedy, not simply that the truth was hidden, but that the people themselves were condemned to vanish with it. 500 years of silence still hang over the Vatican's hidden chambers. Behind those locked doors lie not only documents and decrees, but the memory of lives erased, voices smothered, and truths that could have reshaped the world. The archive is not merely a vault of parchment, it is a monument to silence, where power was preserved by burying the past, and yet the whispers endure. Each time a page is released, it reveals not just what was hidden, but how much more remains concealed. If the Church has already admitted to scandals, corruption, and complicity, what then lies in the rooms still sealed? What truths wait in the darkness, chained in silence, until the world is ready to face them? Whether legend or fact, the story of the archives is a reminder that history is not only written by the victors, but guarded by the gatekeepers of memory. And sometimes, the most important stories are not those that are told, but those that are forbidden. If you believe these hidden truths deserve to be heard, consider subscribing. It helps us bring more of these forgotten histories to light. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from. After all, history belongs to all of us, no matter where we live, because in the end, the silence of 5 centuries may speak louder than any sermon ever preached.